Well, wearing face masks and social distancing seems to be working when it comes to fighting the surge of coronavirus cases here in Arizona. Today, the Department of Health Services is reporting more than 1,400 new cases, bringing the total to more than 183,000 cases since the start of the pandemic. However, there are 70 new deaths, which brings our statewide total to more than 4,000 for the first time. As we just mentioned, when it comes to COVID-19, the numbers are trending down. That includes with ventilators, ICU patients, and inpatients, but we are still seeing a high number of deaths. In fact, right now, almost 24 bodies are in rented coolers in a county garage. It's because a medical examiner was forced to activate an emergency plan after a spike in COVID-related deaths. Team 12's Bram Resnick explains why the coolers are being used for the very first time.
You'll recall the county leased these coolers 3 weeks ago, figuring this day might come. Now, with COVID deaths climbing and funeral homes backed up, the coolers are being put to use.
This isn't their final resting place.
They're awaiting pickup from the funeral home system.
22 bodies awaiting burial or cremation transferred to these leased coolers in a county garage. It came after the Maricopa County Medical Examiner's Office activated an emergency plan. 14 coolers had been rented last month, knowing this day might come.
As for what's actually going on in the overall funeral home system, we still don't have an exact answer for that.
A spike in Arizona COVID deaths is a significant cause of a backup at Valley Funeral Homes. Over the last 5 months, the pace of new reports of coronavirus deaths has quickened. 80 days from the first death to the first 1,000 reported deaths. 34 days to 2,000, just 14 more days to 3,000, and 13 days to the brink of 4,000. Judith Stapley, executive director of the Arizona Board of Funeral Directors and Embalmers, told 12 News there is a spike in deaths for sure. Funeral homes are working their tails off to serve Arizona consumers.
We did see a significant increase in the number of deaths in June and July, and we know that many of those are due directly to COVID-19.
Hospitals are also concerned about a COVID spillover effect, patients with other illnesses staying away and getting sicker and dying.
It does concern us that people are delaying, seeking services for things such as their heart attacks or their or stroke-like symptoms.
In Phoenix, Bram Resnick, 12 News.
Bram, thank you.